Hello. Thanks for coming. My name is Joseph Patel. I am very thankful for Soul for having me back for year four for me. Um, Today we are with two very esteemed gentlemen from Jamaica, Gabre Selassie and Uncle Ronnie. Please welcome them. We're going to be talking about sound system and sound system culture. Before we start, though, I just want to say thanks to Soul for having all of us here. This is year 12 for them. I think I live in New York, and I've seen a lot in my time, and this is one of the more thoughtful festivals I've ever seen. So I think Soul deserves appreciation for that. I also want to do an acknowledgement for someone who isn't here, who has been part of my personal experience at Soul since I came for the first time in 2019, and that is DJ Clark Kent, a staple of Soul for many years, a friend, and someone who passed away a few months ago. And this experience is not the same without him. So I just want to acknowledge him and his presence at Soul. So, all right. So this is a conversation about sound systems. An only good system is a sound system. Because of the part of the world we're in, I do actually want to start at a very basic level, which is, in your own words, if you can describe what a sound system is for someone who might not know. I'll start with you, Gabriel.
Yeah, well, a sound system is it's a it's a way to put through music, you know, and make it get to the people, you know. But from the start, every sound is very unique because the sounds start from inside the person, you know. So like me and you could have the same equipment, and you're going to equalize it and fix it and balance it to what you're hearing inside of you, and I can use the same equipment and balance the sound that I'm hearing inside of me, and even though we have the same equipment, it sounds totally different, you know. So it you know it also mimics a humanness, you know, the sound system, you know, and of the person who put it together, built it, you know, whether you built it or you bought it, you know, ready made, you know, it reflects, you know, a humanness, you know. That's what a sound system is to me, and you can manipulate, um, project your vibrations on people and manipulate them with music, you know, as a form of, like, you know, audio programming, you know what I mean? So yeah, sound system is an instrument to do that and reflects that. Yeah, man.
What about for you?
For me, a sound system is more than just uh, amplifiers and speakers. It's in the Jamaican context. It is audio equipment put together with some kind of cultural aim in mind. It's not just to reproduce music. It is a lifestyle and an art form. And and if I might even add this, a sound system is usually what people in the lower classes um, would put together to entertain each other. But it has to be big or it's not classified as a sound system. It can't just be two little speakers. It has to be huge. So that is what a sound system is in the Jamaican context.
Spoken like someone who actually puts them together.
Yes, unapologetic.
So I think, people who I've run into and talked about this culture with don't realize that sound system culture in Jamaica is over 80 years old. And I like what I like what both of you said in terms of what defines it, because it's not just the technical part of it. It's not the nuts and bolts of a speaker system. It's what it's the personal touch, it's the music you play. It's a combination of style and substance and culture, but there's also a community aspect to it. Right? If you have a sound system and no one is there to listen, do you really have a sound system? I'm curious for each of you, when your first introduction to sound system and the power of a sound system, whether that means a big sound or even just entertaining people, what your first interaction with the sound system was and what switch it flicked on in you to be a part of it.
Um,
You can start.
all right, so I just want to comment on something that you said. You know, if you have a sound system and you're playing it and nobody's there, do you have a sound system? I understand what you're trying to ask, you know, but I'm telling you, yes, because I'll play my sound system for myself. If nobody's there, I'll play. I mean, you know, I'll just sit down and marvel at the sound. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But and to talk, my first interaction with sound system, because you know I'm a child of the '60s, so you know I was born in a vinyl stage of the music, you know. So from I was a kid, I used to just love Rush coming home, putting on a record, staring at the cover, reading the footnotes, you know, reading the lyrics, and right. So yeah, so to me, that although Uncle Ronnie said the sound system have to be big, you know, but I would consider that like you know my first introduction to, you know, my home stereo was the first sound system to me, you know.
When did you know you wanted to be a part of it and have your own sound system?
Well, it grew into that because we never stopped playing music, you know, from in home and then to even like you know school parties, you know. Like I played for you know my basic school graduation, my high school graduation. You know, we were the selectors, you know. So, and then leaving, you know, little before leaving high school, now we got into like building a bigger sound, a better sound, you know, and having our own unique touch to it. So we never left it from where we were like kids. We never left it at all, you know. So it grew, but I guess during teenage years, you make that decisive, you know, decision. Say, listen, I want to be a selector. I want to be a DJ, you know. But then I realized that I was always, you know, from a kid coming up, you know. Yeah.
What about you?
Um, for me, and again, you know, we have to define what a sound system is. If you're from uptown Kingston, it was not expected that you would have a sound system. A sound system was what downtown people had, people in the ghetto, the lower classes. Sound systems were scorned in the 60s and even into the early 70s. So I had a disco in the 60s. We started out with a 9-watt amplifier until we got to 12 watts and then 40 watts, and from 40 watts we jumped to 100. But we were not considered a sound system because we were from uptown Kingston. We were classified as a disco. A sound system to me is still ghetto based, and I love that. Those systems had more power, bigger boxes. We're talking about Prince Jammies, who turned into King Jammies, but at the time he was young. There was Prince Jammies, King Tubby's, Sir Coxon's Downbeat, Duke Reed Atrocian, Tom the Great Sebastian. Huge systems. Edwards, all of those guys. They were using what they call House of Joy boxes. It was a speaker designed by Jensen. The correct name is the Jensen Imperial Folded Horn. Some guys got the drawings and started building them. those who didn't get the drawings just look at what the outside of the enclosure looked like and copied it. They didn't get good results from it. A lot of the systems were terrible sounding. You couldn't enjoy them. So what would happen in that case? People are always competing with each other. I heard some of these things happening, coming through the year. Hear a sound system playing, and it appealed to you. And you would hear another one and say, no, that doesn't sound good. And that was what led me into getting involved in finding out, how does this thing work? Why does one sound system sound better than another sound system? And that was what actually brought me into it, But the first time I heard a sound system playing, and I'm sorry to be going on so long, the first time I heard a sound system playing, I would date it to about 1955, I think, 1956. My mother left here in 19... Oh gosh, I thought I was in Jamaica. My mother left Jamaica the first time in 1957. That was her first trip to New York, and I was already listening to sound systems playing in the distance. You could hear them turn on in the afternoons. We were happy when she left Jamaica. Sorry, Mom, but her mother, my grandmother, used to love the blues, and she would take us walking on a Saturday night, and we would go and listen to all of these things. Now, she cursed her mother out that her mother is taking her children to dances. But that was basically my first experience with sound system.
I'm curious, how did you learn when you have your curiosity of how does this work? How did you learn how they worked? There aren't classes.
We
there aren't
had
school.
a radio at home, and I used to love to listen to radio. It signed on in the mornings at about 5 a.m. and it signed off at 10 at night. There was only one radio station in Jamaica. But I used to love hearing that man talk on the radio. There was times he had no female announcers. It was a man's world. And I remember one day I couldn't resist it anymore. I wanted to see him. And we pulled up my father's radio. But I saw a speaker in there. There was no man in that radio. It was serious. One little speaker. That started it.
And then later when Gabre, when you were talking about the evolution, right? It starts in the home. But at some point you build something and other people come. What was that feeling like when something you are doing is bringing other people to you?
Well, I play roots music and what we'd call message music and, spiritual kind of reggae music too, So the mission is to use the music to, one of the reasons is to use the music to comfort people and also bring them to themselves too, So to see people come, that the sound, they're attracted to the sound, I feel like mission accomplished. That's how I feel, Yeah.
When you started Kingston Dub Club, did you start out playing Roots and Culture with Kingston?
Yeah, man. Cowboy been, as Uncle Ronnie said, I also come from that uptown discotheque. So, like uptown had discotheques, downtown had sound systems, Yeah, so.
But when you started Kingston Dub Club,
Yeah.
Roots and Culture wasn't very popular, right?
Still isn't. In Jamaica. It still isn't, It's like, sometimes playing the roots music in Jamaica is like you feel like you're one man in a boat way out into the ocean, and it's like hello, hello, hello. We would love again, we would a part of our mission is to influence even younger selectors and younger soundman and even younger musicians to forward to the roots. You know what I'm saying? So there's been some younger selectors now rising up, that are levicated to the roots, So we're glad to see that, So, yeah.
And when you, Uncle Ronnie, when you were building sound systems, what makes a good sound system to you, aside from a big sound?
What makes a good sound system? When I just got into this thing, it was trial and error. And then I started reading a lot of audio magazines, 2 out of the United States and 1 out of England. And I would buy them religiously every month. So it became a numbers game. You look at the specifications of everything. How many cycles, how many hertz, how many watts of this, that, numbers. And then I started to experiment again with things, because your ears, it's a final judge of everything. And then I realized that it went past that for me, because something can sound good, but how long can you listen to it for? Because you can have a listener's fatigue if the frequencies are not correct. And I decided that I am no longer going to pay any attention to specifications, manufacturers' specifications, because what I found out with experimenting, with sound and people listening to sound, was that sometimes certain kind of music will make you happy, you feel good, and then I heard something on BBC one time that they were thinking of coming up with some speaker system to radiate low frequency tones to pacify rioters. So that convinced me that if people who are more educated on this topic than I am are thinking of taking sound, a frequency, to calm an angry mob, why should I not employ that to pleasing people? So I remember when your system was being built, and I remember you said to me, the guys in England, that they play with a lot of power, so much so that you even got sick. And when I was building Gabre's system, he wanted a bigger port in the thing. I said, Gabre, this is not only about power. People must love what they're hearing. You must love it. You must feel that love. It can't be just passion, because there's a big difference between passionate love or passionate hate. Because it's all passion, but the love has to be in the sound system. And the numbers cannot give you that.
Are numbers become a guide, and then it's all
Numbers are a guide at the outset. Numbers are your alphabet. You don't need to continue learning your alphabet. You know your alphabet, you put it aside, deal with words.
When he said to you that your sound system needs to have love, not just power, what was your response? What did you...
Well, definitely, my ears have graduated from when I was younger, because we used to, enjoy different styles of sound system. And as he said, even though it kind of made me sick, because I did drink some Guinness and go in front of some Abashanti speaker in England, it was a sad mistake. Yeah, the bass that they play in London, it's very brutal, it's brutal to the body. And I felt like it was squeezing the Guinness back out of me, you know? Yeah, man. And, you know, my first experience with English sound system, you know, leaving Jamaica and thing. Because I was going to the dance, I said, how bad could it be? Because them man, they brag about them sound, you know, in England, you know? I said, how bad could it be? You're coming from the land of sound system, you know? I've seen the biggest sound system in Jamaica. Like, how bad could it be, you know? I go inside the dance and I found out, you know, I mean, on a baseline level, you know, but, you know, linking up with Uncle Ronnie and, you know, seeing how them man, learning how them man, listen to music, you know. Yeah, so definitely graduated, and right now, you know, I like to listen a more mellow sound system than hard and powerful, you know. So I try to create that with Uncle Ronnie, you know, helping me out because he's a more master in in the technical side too, and the creation of the, you know, I more, you know, specialize in other aspects, you know. So when I run up into technical problems, or I need a speaker box built, you know, this is the man that I call, you know, Moise, and tell him my problem or tell him my needs. I would try to work towards it. But like I remember the first boxing build for me, you know, I brought some speakers from London, you know, and I'm just coming from London, so I know what them supposed to sound like. So give it to Uncle Ronnie, and we built the first cabinet, you know, for it. We were building four, but we're just trying to find the sound, you know, that matches the speaker, you know. So the first one we built, and we're there testing it, and just baseline, you know, for like 2 days straight. We're just listening to the bass, and I said, no, man, Uncle Ronnie, I know what these speakers can do. You know, we need more out of it, you know. And I think we built like 3 prototypes before we decided, say, yo, this all right. It don't play as damaging as, you know, some man played it, you know, and then, you know, it's giving me the right sound. And then we built some more because we got the design now, you know. So that is how Uncle Ronnie builds speaker boxes, you know. You can't download a design, a spec for Scoop, and go to Uncle Ronnie and say, Uncle Ronnie, I have this exact specs for this Scoop that JBL made or EV made, you know. And say, well, buy it from JBL, buy it from EV. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. He's going to build his own, you know, a unique style, you know, which a lot of soundmen don't do that in Jamaica. They just work off you know, they got the design for some hog scoops, you know, so, and then, you know, but him build every speaker box unique, you know. Yeah, man.
In the buddy comedy movie of your life, the scene is already playing in my head of the two of you sitting there listening to a bass line for 3 days. I love it. It's great.
All different genres.
Yeah.
We listen how it plays hip hop. We listen how it plays disco, soul, reggae. You know.
That's amazing. When someone comes to you and wants to build a speaker or a sound system, what do you look for? Do you work with everybody who comes to you?
No, I don't.
What is your criteria for working with somebody?
I'm not sure I have a set of criteria now. But
They must like them first.
most,
Yeah, their spirit have to get along.
yeah, if the person
Yeah.
doesn't have a clean spirit, I will not work for them. You have to be clean. You have to have love inside of you. If you don't have love inside of you, you can't have a good sound.
And you don't want to be a part of that.
No, I don't want to be a part of it. No way at all.
What else do you look for?
No,
Or is that it?
yeah, that's just it. If I don't like a sound system that is intent on only playing dance hall music. Because if that is all you want, then you don't need me. Last night I heard Raj play a song on my system, well, soul sound system. It wasn't anything with a heavy rhythm or anything. It was mostly tones. And it was going from very high to very low. and I was standing at the main gate and listening to it. I felt proud.
Yeah.
I felt good
It's a good sound
that
system.
this was reproducing everything. I don't know the piece of music that was being played, but in terms of the composition, everything was progressing as it should, and I was listening to it and making sense of the music. And that is what made me feel good. If you want a sound system that is just going to go boom, boom, boom all night, you do not need me. All you need is a guy who can build you a strong speaker box and put a high-powered speaker in it, buy a high-powered amplifier, and just crank it up. And that will do that all night. Boom, boom, boom. You don't need me. But if you want to play high C's and low G's and all that, fine. Come and see me.
If anybody doesn't know, the Sole sound system was built by Uncle Ronnie in 2019. You will, if you go to stage 2 tonight, you will experience it anytime this weekend. It has been put to good use over the last few years. I want to ask you about that, but I'm going to come back to this story because I want to know the story about that. Mm-hmm. But you mentioned going to London and hearing sound systems there. For both of you, when sound system culture has traveled outside of Jamaica, primarily in London, primarily in New York, now in the last few years, other places, what are they getting right about sound system culture? What are they getting wrong about sound system culture, or what's different in those places?
What I love about the guys in Europe, they have continued a style of playing that we had in Jamaica decades ago. They're still using one turntable, and it's elevated to literal eye level. So they're putting the tone arm on the record, and they're doing this to put the needle on the record. This was being done in Jamaica back in the 60s. It never even made it into the 70s. And those guys are doing that.
Why is that?
Keeping it original, you know. There's some people that just love to keep things original, whether it be, you know, fixing up an old car and to its original state. Some people want to pimp it out. Some people just like to keep things original, you know. So, but in London though, because they always mimic the sounds that come out of Jamaica from, you know, that's the influencers. When Jamaicans travel and migrated to England, they would carry the knowledge and the love and start a sound system in London, you know. But yeah.
But it was Uptown sound systems that were the first to use
Uptown discos.
Uptown discos that were the first to use 2 turntables, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And so these guys in Europe you're talking about are going old
Because
even older than that.
Uptown people never really migrated to England.
Interesting.
It was people who were looking for an opportunity, a better life, who went to the States and who went to London. Basically, all the middle class people, upper middle class people, they stayed in Jamaica. But it was the rural and the
And life is
urban
nice.
folks who went to, in search of a better life. So they took sound system culture with them, which, as I said earlier, was their form of entertainment.
But I was saying earlier that so I find in England and Europe and even America too, you will find the modern day kind of style of sound system where you have the mixers and the turntables and people catching the beat and thing. But in Jamaica, it's hard to find a man that used to play it like how the London, the UK sound systems continue to play it nowadays. It's hard to find that in Jamaica, if not impossible. Nobody plays one turntable with 2 amplifiers anymore in Jamaica, you know. But as I said, so the culture, they have kept up both sides of the sound system culture. You can find a modern day sound, and you can find one that, you know, keep it, as you say, original, you know. Yeah.
As someone who lives in Brooklyn, I'm curious your thoughts on American sound systems. that you've experienced?
I've never seen one. I've met persons who are involved in that culture in the US, but I've met them here. They just travel here to play on anybody else's systems, but I've never been to like a sound system
Oh,
event
interesting.
in the US.
Yeah.
Never been.
When was the last time you were in the U.S.?
Oh gosh, decades ago.
Yeah.
The last time I was in the US was in 1991.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, the only reason why I have an American visa again is because of Soul, because I have to travel through the US to come here. So,
What about you? What's your thoughts on American sound systems that you've heard?
I thought they were awesome at the time, and the level that I was, you had a standard way of playing sound system, and you had some nice sound systems in America, because again, Jamaicans go up there with the culture, with the knowledge, with the love, and, build or buy a sound system, and they have access to the best equipment in the world, so they had some nice sounds up there, whether it be PA at the time, it's not as massive as this, but, we had PA at the time, and the sounds them that I listened to, the uptown sounds, and even the downtown sounds that was in America, Yeah, man, them had nice sound systems, man.
yeah, but I tend to not want to get involved with American sound system, Jamaican owned sound systems in America, for one reason only. They are not bought with clean money.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they're not.
Yeah. And that matters to you.
Yeah, that matters to me.
Yeah. I want to ask, what do you mean by not clean money? Okay, I'm going to switch it up because we have only a few minutes left.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell the story of how you came to build the Sole sound system?
I was at home one day repairing some speakers for a friend of mine. He has a big party every Monday night called Uptown Mondays. It's like the biggest dance hall party. He had bought some speakers from you, your old speakers. Yes. So I was repairing them. And I saw this bus drive into the yard. And a group of Indian guys, mostly Indian guys, came out. And they're all very well polished. They said they're from Dubai.
Raj, he means you.
And they just started talking, and I had a column of boxes out in the yard, covered up under blue tarpaulin. And Raj, I think it was, had asked me if that was speakers, if those were speakers, and I said yes. So I was glad to show it, but he wanted to know if it was at all possible to hear it, and I said yes, it would take, it's up. So he asked if it could play, and I said, well, it might take 5 minutes or so. And he asked if, who he called Quinton, and told me that this was his engineer, if he could help. And I said, oh, sure. And we quickly did what we had to do and turned it on. And they liked what they heard. But they were not convinced. Raj said he wanted to come back the following day with his music. So they turned up the following day and they played. And I remember he played, oh gosh, what was that song? But was that Whiter Shade of Pale? I don't remember, but he said he didn't even realize that that song had bass in it until he heard it on the system. And then we met at your place. And they told me that they want me to build a system. And I said, what? They said, yes, we wanted to build a system. I couldn't believe it. I said, so I'm to come to Dubai and build a system. They said, no, we want it built in Jamaica. I said, so how will it get to Dubai? I mean, I'm kind of stupid sometimes. I said, So that was it. We built a system.
So you built it in Jamaica.
The
and
system
shipped
was
it-
built in my backyard in
yeah,
Jamaica.
and shipped it to
And
Dubai.
shipped to Dubai.
But you came to Dubai to make sure that it was proper.
Yes, I was invited, and yeah, that was a great opportunity.
And that was your first time in Dubai?
That was my first time out of Jamaica for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because let me tell you, I had some serious issues in my life, and building that system brought me around. And just recently, I was going back in depression again. As a matter of fact, I came here not feeling good about myself. And even this interview that's happening now, I told you about it, that I don't know I could sit here and talk to you knowing that I wanted to give up sound system business. I just had enough of my crew, and if you damage a plug or break a wire, just tell me. Don't wait till we turn up at the next party and something is not working when it could have been fixed at home. Why hide it when it's going to show up? And I get very upset about these things, and I am getting rid of my system. And I came to Dubai and heard the Sole sound system. They have improved on it since I delivered it, you know. They have improved on it. There's a guy called Barry, who I don't know why they're hiding him from me. I have not met him. But Barry has improved the system.
That's high praise from you.
Raj has better ears than I have. They have done a wonderful job with the system. The artwork on the system, the color, the choice of colors, I'm going to steal those colors. But as soon as I get home, I'm rebuilding a lot of my system. I'm going to rebuild. And I'm going back into the game.
I love that. I love that. It is so beautiful hearing your system in a place like Dubai, and to hear you give praise that they've improved the system. I think that's high praise. But it speaks to this thing where sound system culture used to be confined to a few places, right? Out of Jamaica into London, into New York, and now you're seeing it in places all over the world.
Yes, in Asia, big.
Asia's really big sound system.
Huge.
And I think, at least from what I've seen, the sound system culture as it spreads is still trying to be respectful to the origins. I'm curious if that is something that you have seen as well, both of you.
You mean respectful to its origins? You mean differently from as we noticed that you have some sound systems that keep it original with one turntable, tube amplifiers, getting custom equipment built, thinking of their own designs for the boxes, and yeah, I think that is being respected. Yeah, man.
What's the impact that you see the sound system culture making as it travels farther and farther away from Jamaica?
Well, it impact different people in different ways. Again, originally the sound come from the man or the woman, the person that is building it, So it depend on their vibrations and their intentions. So it will impact some people good, and it will impact some people bad. You have frequencies that are good for you, and you have frequencies that are bad for you. So it will impact different people in different ways, But it is having an impact in whichever way, a positive way or a negative way. It definitely have an impact, Yeah, man.
Last question I'll ask is something that has always fascinated me about Jamaica, which is how does an island that small have such an outsized impact and influence on the rest of the world? I wonder if you could take a crack at answering that. How does an island so small have such a big impact all over the world and has for decades?
Jamaica is like, you know, when you throw a pebble in a pond and it, from the point of impact, the vibrations just go out, you know? And that's why it's Jamaica, you know? It's like a little diamond, you know? It's like a little diamond in the ocean, you know? And the talent that I see come out to Jamaica, you know, is the real worth of Jamaica is the people. It's not the sandy beaches, you know, or the all-inclusive hotels or the Red Stripe Bear. It's the people. Is the real worth. Is the real goal of the country, you know. And I don't know. I just witnessed Jamaicans and Jamaica culture just affect people in a different way than you know. Yeah.
Ronnie, you can end it. How does Jamaica make such a big impact and has for decades?
That is a question to put to the rest of the world. But if I must get very personal, when I'm working, I try to do my best work. And if it goes out there and people see it and appreciate it, then I would have, you know, obviously impacted. But it's not a question that I really can answer.
It's a question anybody else can answer. The rest of the world should
The
answer
worst
that
of the
question.
world.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, gentlemen, thank you for your time. I'm very excited to see you both on Sunday,
Yes.
stage 2. Yeah, give it up.
Thanks for having us, man. Thank you. And thank you, Soul, for inviting us, you know.